She mocked my Earth uniform, but her smile vanished when I unlocked it. First Contact Protocol Lieutenant Marcus Kane adjusted his collar as the transport shuttle descended through Vorex 9's crimson atmosphere. The standard-issue Earth Defense Force uniform felt lighter than usual, a reminder of how far he was from home. 3 months ago, humanity had been alone in the cosmos. Now, they were junior partners in the Galactic Defense Coalition, desperate to prove their worth to species that had been waging interstellar wars since before humans discovered fire. The shuttle's hull groaned against atmospheric pressure as they broke through the cloud layer. Below, Vorex 9 stretched endlessly, a world of jagged mountains and volcanic plains that had forged one of the galaxy's most feared warrior races. The Thalkar didn't just survive on this hellscape, they thrived, turning environmental hostility into military doctrine. "First time seeing a Thalkar homeworld?" asked Captain Torres, the shuttle pilot. Her weathered hands gripped the controls as crosswinds buffeted their descent. "First time seeing any alien homeworld," Marcus replied, watching the landscape scroll. "Pun. Command briefing said they've never lost a ground engagement in recorded history." Torres snorted. "That's what makes this exercise so interesting. Earth needs allies, but the Coalition won't take us seriously until we prove we can fight alongside their best. The Thalkar volunteered to test us first." The shuttle touched down at Forward Base Korath with a metallic screech. Through the viewport, Marcus saw his new reality. Towering alien warriors in battle-scarred armor moving with predatory grace between military structures that looked more like fortresses than barracks. Each Thalkar stood nearly 8 feet tall, their reptilian features hardened by generations of warfare, with ceremonial scars marking their achievements in battle. As Marcus disembarked, the planet's gravity hit him, 30% heavier than Earth standard. His uniform's hidden systems compensated automatically, but he kept that information buried deep in classified protocols. To outside observers, he was just another soft human struggling with basic physics. A delegation of Thalkar officers approached, led by a female warrior whose presence dominated the landing pad. Commander Vera Thoxall stood nearly 9 feet tall, her obsidian scales bearing intricate scarification that told the story of dozens of victories. Her amber eyes studied Marcus with the intensity of a predator evaluating prey. "So this is Earth's contribution to the Coalition," she said, her voice carrying the guttural undertones of her species. "I expected someone more substantial." Marcus straightened to his full 6-foot height, still dwarfed by the alien commander. "Lieutenant Marcus Kane, Earth Defense Force, reporting for joint training exercises." Vera circled him slowly, her clawed feet clicking against the metal decking. Other Thalkar warriors gathered, their conversations dying as they focused on the human newcomer. Marcus felt their scrutiny like physical weight, dozens of apex predators studying what they clearly considered an inferior specimen. "Your uniform," Vera continued, reaching out to touch the lightweight fabric of his sleeve. "It appears to be made of cloth? How do you expect to survive combat wearing textile?" Laughter rippled through the gathered warriors. Marcus recognized the tactical dynamics at play. This wasn't just casual mockery, but a deliberate test of his psychological resilience. The Thalkar were probing for weakness, establishing dominance through humiliation. Earth military doctrine emphasizes adaptability over raw protection, Marcus replied evenly. "We've found that flexibility often trumps rigid armor in dynamic combat situations." "Flexibility?" Vera's laugh was like grinding stone. "Young human, I have shattered battle mechs with my bare hands. I have torn through assault armor that could deflect plasma cannons. Your flexible fabric suit would not survive the first second of real combat." She gestured toward her own armor, a masterwork of alien metallurgy that looked like it could stop artillery shells. Every piece bore the marks of actual battle, dents and scars that spoke of conflicts beyond human imagination. Perhaps Earth should have sent warriors instead of whatever this is, Vera concluded, turning away dismissively. Marcus said nothing, but his hand unconsciously moved toward the small tactical interface hidden beneath his collar. Soon enough, Commander Vera would learn that appearances could be deceiving. and that humanity's greatest weapon had always been the element of surprise. Part 2. The Gauntlet begins. The Thalkar training complex sprawled across several square kilometers of reinforced concrete and adaptive terrain modules. Marcus spent his first week learning the facility's layout, while enduring constant scrutiny from alien warriors who seemed to view him as either entertainment or an insult to military tradition. Major Crix Valdorn, the facility's training coordinator, assigned Marcus to Combat Group 7, supposedly the most challenging unit for integration testing. The other members included veterans from across Coalition space. A crystalline Zephyrite whose body could shift between solid and energy states. 2 hulking Koran brothers whose homeworld's gravity was triple Earth standard, and a cybernetic, Nexari operative whose augmentations gleamed with lethal purpose. "Your human will not survive the first exercise," Commander Vera informed Major Valdorn during the morning briefing, her voice carrying across the preparation chamber. "Perhaps we should assign him to logistics instead of active combat training." Marcus checked his equipment one final time, running diagnostics on systems that remained invisible to external scanners. His uniform's quantum processors hummed quietly, mapping environmental data and threat assessments in real time. The other Coalition soldiers made no effort to hide their advanced weaponry and protective gear, while Marcus appeared armed with nothing more than a standard sidearm and basic field kit. The first exercise was deceptively simple. Navigate a hostile environment while defending against simulated enemy attacks. The terrain shifted every few minutes, transforming from urban combat zones to alien forests to zero-gravity spaceship corridors. Each Coalition species excelled in different environments, their evolutionary advantages becoming apparent as challenges escalated. The Zephyrite phased through energy barriers that would have vaporized organic matter. The Koran brothers shrugged off impacts that could crumple vehicle armor. The Nexari operatives' targeting systems locked onto threats faster than biological reflexes could process. Meanwhile, Marcus appeared to struggle with basic environmental hazards, his lightweight uniform offering no obvious protection against the increasingly dangerous scenarios. "The human is liability," growled Sergeant Thok, one of the Koran brothers as they regrouped after a particularly brutal ambush simulation. "He moves too slow, carries insufficient firepower, and his armor cannot withstand concentrated fire." Earth species are still adapting to galactic warfare standards, the Nexari operative added diplomatically. Perhaps extended training periods would be beneficial. Marcus accepted their criticism without argument, filing away tactical observations while his uniform's stealth systems recorded everything for later analysis. The Thalkar weren't just testing his combat abilities, they were studying human limitations, probing for weaknesses that could affect future military cooperation. Every failure was being cataloged, every apparent inadequacy noted for official reports. Commander Vera watched from the observation deck, her scarred features displaying what Marcus recognized as disappointed confirmation of her low expectations. She spoke quietly with other senior officers, their body language suggesting they were already preparing recommendations to limit human involvement in Coalition military operations. The second day brought close-quarters combat trials. Here, the physiological disadvantages became even more apparent. The Thalkar had evolved for brutal melee combat, their natural weapons and armor giving them overwhelming advantages in hand-to-hand fighting. During sparring sessions, Marcus was systematically defeated by opponents who held back enough to avoid causing permanent injury, but not enough to spare his dignity.
"Your species lacks proper warrior instincts," Vera informed him after a particularly one-sided sparring match. "You fight with technique instead of fury, calculation instead of killer instinct. These qualities may serve in your primitive conflicts, but galactic warfare demands primal aggression,"
she demonstrated by engaging 3 training drones simultaneously, her movements a blur of controlled violence that shredded mechanical opponents in seconds. Other Thalkar warriors nodded approvingly. This was their ideal of combat effectiveness. Marcus studied her technique while his uniform's tactical AI ran probability analyses on Thalkar combat patterns. His external responses remained appropriately humble, accepting criticism and asking for additional instruction. But internally, His equipment was building detailed profiles on every alien combatant in the facility. By the end of the second week, Marcus had established himself as the unit's weak link. Combat Group 7's performance statistics showed measurable improvement whenever he was replaced by simulation programs. Other coalition soldiers began requesting transfers to avoid the performance penalties associated with protecting an inadequate teammate. Tomorrow begins the final exercise, Major Valdorn announced during the evening briefing. Full-scale combat simulation with live-fire training weapons. All participants will face realistic combat scenarios with actual consequences for failure. Commander Vera's amber eyes fixed on Marcus with what might have been pity. Perhaps the human should observe rather than participate. His survival would not be guaranteed. Marcus met her gaze steadily. I appreciate the concern, Commander, but Earth sent me here to complete the full training program. I intend to see it through. The alien warriors exchanged glances that spoke of shared certainty. Tomorrow's exercise would finally prove that humans weren't ready for galactic warfare. Marcus smiled quietly, knowing they were absolutely correct about one thing. Tomorrow would indeed prove what humans were truly capable of. Part 3. The final test dawn on Vorex 9 painted the sky in shades of amber and crimson as Combat Group 7 assembled for the final exercise. The training facility's main arena had been reconfigured into a sprawling combat zone featuring multiple terrain types, defensive positions, and hostile environmental conditions. Automated weapon systems and combat drones would provide real opposition, their training safeties calibrated to inflict pain without permanent damage, assuming participants possessed adequate protective equipment. Marcus checked his standard issue gear one final time while his teammates made their own preparations. The Karan brothers tested servo-assisted power armor that amplified their already formidable strength. The Zephyrite's crystalline form shimmered as it shifted through various defensive configurations. The Nexari operatives' cybernetic implants glowed with active targeting systems and enhanced reflexes. In contrast, Marcus appeared woefully under-equipped, carrying only basic weapons and wearing what looked like ceremonial fabric rather than battle armor. Final opportunity to reconsider. Human, Commander Vera said, approaching with the predatory grace that marked her species. This exercise is designed to test warriors at their absolute limits. Your equipment appears insufficient. She gestured toward his uniform with barely concealed disdain. The lightweight material showed no obvious armor plating, energy shielding, or integrated weapon systems. To Thalkar eyes accustomed to heavy battle gear forged in the crucibles of their volcanic homeworld, Marcus might as well have been wearing civilian clothing. I appreciate the concern, Commander, Marcus replied, his voice steady despite the weight of her intimidating presence. But humans have always believed in adapting to challenges rather than avoiding them. Today won't be different. Vera's scarred, features twisted into what might have been admiration for foolish courage or contempt for stubborn ignorance. Very well, but understand that rescue operations during live-fire exercises carry significant risk. Your squad mates should not be endangered by your limitations. The exercise parameters were brutally simple. Combat Group 7 would advance through hostile territory toward a strategic objective while facing escalating opposition. Enemy forces would include automated defense systems, combat drones, and holographic opponents programmed with tactical intelligence from actual coalition enemies. Failure meant not just personal defeat, but potential injury from training weapons calibrated to simulate real battlefield conditions. As they entered the arena, Marcus felt the familiar weight settles into his bones. Vorex 9's punishing gravity, combined with environmental conditions designed to stress every biological system. His teammates moved with the confidence of warriors accustomed to extreme conditions, their advanced equipment providing obvious advantages against the challenges ahead. The first phase went according to everyone's expectations. Coalition forces advanced methodically through urban terrain, while automated defenses engaged them with simulated energy weapons and kinetic projectiles. The Karan brothers absorbed hits that would have felled lesser beings, their armor distributing impact across reinforced frames. The Zephyrite phased between solid and energy states, avoiding damage through precise timing. The Nexari operative's enhanced reflexes and predictive algorithms allowed preemptive responses to threats. Marcus, meanwhile, appeared to struggle with basic survival. He took cover frequently, moved cautiously through exposed areas, and seemed to rely entirely on conventional tactics rather than advanced technology. Training weapons scored multiple hits on his position, their feedback systems registering what should have been incapacitating injuries. Yet somehow he continued advancing, his movement patterns becoming more fluid as the exercise progressed. The human shows unexpected resilience, observed Major Valdorn from the command center, reviewing real-time performance data. His tactical awareness exceeds initial assessments. Commander Vera studied the tactical displays with growing interest. Marcus's performance remained technically inferior to his teammates, but his decision-making showed sophisticated understanding of battlefield dynamics. He anticipated enemy movements, identified optimal cover positions, and coordinated with squad mates despite his apparent equipment limitations. The second phase escalated dramatically. Combat drones equipped with advanced targeting systems engaged the squad with sustained fire, while environmental hazards activated throughout the arena. Temperature fluctuations, gravity variations, and atmospheric changes tested every aspect of coalition training. This was where superior equipment typically separated professionals from casualties. The Zephyrite's crystalline structure adapted to energy-based attacks, but struggled with kinetic impacts. One of the Koran brothers suffered servo failures in his power armor, reducing his mobility significantly. The Nexari operative's targeting systems experienced electromagnetic interference that degraded computational accuracy. Advanced technology, it seemed, carried its own vulnerabilities. Marcus continued his pattern of cautious advancement, apparently relying on basic training and instinctive reactions to survive increasingly dangerous conditions. But observers with enhanced sensors might have noticed subtle anomalies. His movements remained precisely coordinated despite environmental stress. His response time stayed consistent despite fatigue, and his tactical communications displayed unusual clarity despite battlefield chaos. By the third phase, Combat Group 7 faced their ultimate test, a coordinated assault against a fortified position, defended by multiple automated systems and adaptive holographic opponents. This scenario had defeated previous coalition units, requiring perfect coordination between specialists with complementary capabilities. As they approached the final objective, Marcus made his first direct tactical suggestion. I recommend a multi-vector approach. If we coordinate our timing, we can exploit overlapping blind spots in their defensive grid. His teammates exchanged glances. The quiet human had been largely silent throughout previous phases, contributing minimally to tactical discussions. Now he was proposing complex battlefield coordination, with the confidence of an experienced combat leader. Explain your reasoning, the Nexari operative requested, its cybernetic implants analyzing Marcus's proposal through multiple tactical algorithms. Marcus outlined a sophisticated assault plan that maximized each team member's strengths while minimizing exposure to defensive systems. His analysis displayed intimate knowledge of coalition military doctrine, enemy tactical patterns, and advanced battlefield mathematics. The others realized that behind his humble exterior lay a tactical mind of considerable sophistication. Acceptable strategy, the Nexari concluded after running probability analyses. Implementation probability exceeds 73% with optimal coordination. As they prepared for the final assault, Commander Vera's voice crackled over communication channels. All units prepare for maximum difficulty engagement. This is your ultimate test. Marcus placed his hand on his chest plate, fingers finding a small, seemingly decorative panel. For the first time since arriving on Vorex 9, he smiled with genuine confidence. Roger that, Command. Beginning final phase. The time for subtlety had ended. Revelation. Marcus's fingers found the tactile interface hidden beneath what appeared to be a simple rank insignia. The small panel responded to his touch with a barely audible chime, followed by a series of rapid diagnostic tones that would have been inaudible to most species but registered clearly on Thalkar hearing. Around the observation deck, alien officers straightened with sudden attention as their equipment detected massive energy signatures emanating from the human's position. "What is that sound?" Commander Vera demanded, her scarred features twisting, with confusion and growing alarm. The transformation began subtly. Marcus's lightweight uniform rippled as hidden systems activated throughout the fabric matrix. What had appeared to be simple cloth revealed itself as a sophisticated composite of programmable matter, quantum processors, and adaptive nanotechnology. The material restructured itself in real time, shifting from ceremonial appearance to tactical configuration. Micro-layered armor plating materialized along vital areas, so thin as to be nearly invisible, but harder than Thalkar battle steel. Energy distribution networks activated throughout the uniform, creating a defensive grid capable of absorbing and redirecting kinetic and energy-based attacks. Most dramatically, the uniform's integrated AI systems came online, transforming Marcus, from apparently under-equipped human, into a walking tactical platform. "Tactical assessment protocol active," announced a synthetic voice audible only through Marcus's communication implant. "Environmental analysis complete. Threat evaluation in progress. Combat optimization engaged." The change in Marcus's movement patterns was immediate and dramatic. Where before he had appeared to struggle with Vorex 9's harsh conditions, now he moved with fluid precision that seemed to defy the planet's punishing gravity. His steps became economical and purposeful, each motion calculated for maximum efficiency. The defensive positions that had seemed desperate now revealed themselves as precisely chosen tactical advantages. His teammates stared in shock as Marcus advanced toward the fortified objective with movements that bordered on inhuman perfection. The training weapons that had been scoring regular hits throughout the exercise suddenly found no purchase. Marcus seemed to anticipate their targeting patterns, moving through their engagement zones like water flowing around obstacles. "Impossible," breathed the Nexari operative, its cybernetic system struggling to track Marcus's enhanced movement patterns. No biological organism should possess such reflexes. The defensive drones guarding the final objective engaged with concentrated fire, their programming adapting to counter the unusual threat signature Marcus now presented. Energy beams and kinetic projectiles converged on his position in coordinated patterns designed to overwhelm any defensive system, but Marcus's uniform absorbed the incoming fire with casual efficiency, its energy distribution networks redirecting absorbed power into enhanced mobility and tactical systems. From the observation deck, alien officers watched in stunned silence, as the human they had dismissed as inadequately equipped systematically dismantled defensive positions that had stymied previous coalition units. His movements displayed perfect understanding of each defensive system's limitations, exploiting blind spots and timing windows with mathematical precision. "How is he doing that?" Major Valdorn demanded, his voice tight with professional recognition of what he was witnessing. "Our sensors show no external equipment, no visible weapon systems, yet his performance exceeds theoretical maximums for baseline human physiology." Commander Vera's amber eyes tracked Marcus's progress with growing intensity. The mockery and condescension that had colored her earlier interactions were evaporating, replaced by the focused attention of a career warrior recognizing genuine combat effectiveness. This was no longer the soft human she had dismissed. This was something far more dangerous. Marcus reached the central defensive hub while his teammates were still advancing through preliminary obstacles. The automated systems defending the position represented cutting-edge coalition military technology, their targeting algorithms incorporating tactical data from centuries of interstellar warfare. They engaged him with everything in their arsenal: energy, weapons, kinetic bombardment, electromagnetic pulses, and adaptive tactical programs designed to counter any known coalition military doctrine. None of it mattered. Marcus moved through the defensive fire like it didn't exist, his uniform systems providing perfect threat assessment and response coordination. When energy beams tracked his position, he was already elsewhere. When kinetic projectiles converged on his location, they found empty space. When electromagnetic pulses attempted to disrupt his equipment, they encountered hardened systems designed to operate in conditions that would cripple most military hardware. Target defensive hub's primary power coupling, his tactical AI advised, highlighting structural weak points invisible to conventional sensors. Optimal approach vector, 37 degrees, elevation, positive 12 meters. Marcus acknowledged the recommendation with a thought, his uniform's mobility systems responding by propelling him up a vertical surface with spider-like grace. His movements had transcended human limitations entirely. He was operating as a hybrid entity of biological intelligence and technological enhancement, each component perfectly integrated with the others. The defensive hub's final protective measure activated, a holographic opponent programmed with tactical data from the Coalition's most dangerous enemies. The construct manifested as a towering warrior, incorporating the best combat characteristics from multiple hostile species. Its weapon systems calibrated to maximum lethality within training parameters. For the first time in the exercise, Marcus drew his sidearm. The weapon appeared unremarkable, standard Earth Defense Force issue with no obvious modifications. But as he raised it toward the holographic opponent, the gun's true nature became apparent. Smart ammunition, quantum targeting systems, and variable yield energy projection capabilities transformed a simple firearm into a precision instrument of tactical superiority. The engagement lasted exactly 3.7 seconds. Marcus's first shot disrupted the holographic construct's primary systems. His second eliminated its defensive capabilities. His third deactivated the defensive hub entirely, completing the exercise objective that previous Coalition units had required hours to achieve. In the sudden silence that followed, Combat Group 7 stared at their human teammate with expressions ranging from shock to professional respect. The warrior they had spent weeks protecting and compensating for had just demonstrated combat capabilities that exceeded their own advanced equipment and training. Exercise complete, Marcus reported, his voice carrying the same calm professionalism that had characterized his performance throughout the training program. All primary objectives achieved. Defensive systems neutralized with minimal collateral damage. From the observation deck, Commander Vera's voice cut through the stunned silence. Lieutenant Kane, report to debriefing immediately. We have much to discuss. Marcus smiled, his hand already moving to deactivate his uniform's combat systems. The revelation was complete, but the real conversation was just beginning. Respect earned. The debriefing chamber fell silent as Marcus entered, his uniform having returned to its deceptively simple appearance. The advanced systems that had dominated the final exercise were once again hidden beneath fabric that looked like it belonged in a parade rather than a battlefield. But the assembled alien officers now understood that appearances could be lethally deceiving. Commander Vera dominated the room's central position, her towering frame and battle-scarred armor a stark contrast to the human who had just redefined their understanding of Earth's military capabilities. Her amber eyes studied Marcus with the intensity of a predator reassessing a previously dismissed threat, while other Coalition officers maintained respectful distances that hadn't existed hours earlier. Lieutenant Kane, she began, her voice carrying none of the condescension that had marked their previous interactions. It appears that Earth's military doctrine incorporates concepts we had not anticipated. Major Valdorn gestured toward the tactical displays, showing replay footage from the exercise. Our combat analysis indicates performance levels that exceed known human physiological parameters. Your equipment demonstrates technological sophistication that rivals our most advanced systems, yet external sensors detected no anomalous signatures during preliminary assessments. Marcus remained at attention, but his posture had subtly shifted. Where before he had appeared slightly overwhelmed by the alien military environment, now he projected the quiet confidence of a professional among peers. The psychological dynamics had fundamentally changed. He was no longer the junior partner seeking acceptance, but an equal participant in high-level military discussions. Earth Defense Force doctrine emphasizes adaptability and technological integration, Marcus replied. Our equipment is designed for maximum effectiveness with minimal signature detection. The uniform represents several generations of military, engineering focused on enhancing human capabilities rather than replacing them. The Nexari operative leaned forward, its cybernetic implants gleaming with diagnostic activity. Our analysis suggests your uniform incorporates adaptive nanotechnology, quantum processing systems, and integrated AI platforms. Such sophistication implies significant industrial capacity and technical expertise. More concerning, added one of the Coran officers, is the tactical implications. If human soldiers can operate at such effectiveness levels while appearing to be equipped with primitive gear, our threat assessment protocols require substantial revision. Commander Vera circled Marcus slowly, her clawed feet clicking against the metallic deck. But unlike their first meeting, this was not predatory evaluation. This was professional recognition between warriors who understood each other's capabilities. You allowed us to underestimate you deliberately, she stated, her voice carrying appreciation rather than accusation. Throughout weeks of training, you maintained the facade of inadequate preparation while gathering intelligence on coalition, military capabilities, tactical doctrines, and species-specific combat characteristics. Marcus met her gaze directly. Earth joined the coalition as junior partners. We needed to understand our allies before revealing our own capabilities. Trust builds gradually through shared experience and mutual respect. And now, Major Valdorn inquired, what is Earth's true assessment of coalition military effectiveness? Impressive individual capabilities, Marcus replied diplomatically. Each species brings evolutionary advantages that translate into tactical superiority in specific environments. The Thalkar's close combat dominance, Quran physical resilience, Zephyrite energy manipulation, and Nexari computational enhancement represent valuable force multipliers. He paused, choosing his words carefully. However, coordination between dissimilar capabilities remains challenging. Integration protocols could benefit from strategic revision to maximize combined effectiveness. The alien officers exchanged glances that spoke of shared recognition. The human wasn't just providing polite assessment. He was offering tactical analysis based on weeks of careful observation and professional evaluation. His insights carried weight precisely because they came from someone who had proven his combat effectiveness. What other surprises does Earth military possess? Commander Vera asked bluntly. If your standard infantry equipment exceeds our initial assessments, what capabilities do your specialized units possess? Marcus smiled diplomatically. That would be a conversation for higher command levels, Commander. I'm qualified to discuss integration with coalition forces, not comprehensive strategic capabilities. The response carried unmistakable implications. If a junior Earth representative possessed such advanced equipment and tactical sophistication, what resources did Earth's senior military leadership control? The power dynamics had shifted dramatically. The coalition was no longer evaluating whether to accept human participation, but rather how to ensure beneficial cooperation with potentially formidable allies. Recommendation, announced the Nexari operative after processing probability matrices through its enhancement systems. Immediate escalation to Coalition High Command for strategic partnership discussions. Earth's military capabilities warrant comprehensive re-evaluation of defensive coordination protocols. Commander Vera nodded slowly, her scarred features displaying what Marcus recognized as professional respect. Lieutenant Kane, it appears my initial assessment was incomplete. You have demonstrated that human warriors possess qualities that extend beyond obvious physical capabilities. She extended one clawed hand toward Marcus, a gesture that carried enormous significance within Thalkar military culture. Physical contact between warriors indicated acknowledgement of mutual professional competence, a recognition reserved for those who had proven themselves worthy of respect. Marcus accepted the gesture, his human hand disappearing within the alien commander's massive grip. The contact lasted only seconds, but the symbolic impact resonated throughout the chamber. He had achieved what Earth's diplomatic efforts had struggled to accomplish: recognition as an equal partner rather than a protected junior member. Earth Defense Force personnel will be welcome in future coalition exercises, Vera continued. We look forward to learning from your tactical approaches just as you have learned from ours. As Marcus prepared to leave, he turned back toward the assembled officers. Commander, if I may, the Coalition's strength lies not just in individual capabilities, but in the diversity of approaches to common challenges. Earth brings different solutions to problems that have established patterns. Sometimes the greatest advantage comes from perspectives that others don't expect. Commander Vera's laugh was like grinding stone, but this time it carried warmth, rather than mockery. Indeed, Lieutenant, sometimes the most dangerous opponents are those who appear harmless until they choose to reveal their true nature. The debriefing concluded with mutual acknowledgement of successful integration. But as Marcus departed, the alien officers understood that their universe had become a more complex and potentially dangerous place. Humanity had announced its presence not with grand declarations or technological displays, but with quiet competence and carefully revealed capabilities. Earth had earned its place among the stars not through supplication, but through demonstrated equality, and that, perhaps, was the most human approach of all. The end.